Hi everyone, Lior is here with another Jumpstart Lightning episode. Today I have Raki to talk to me about Azure Arc-enabled data services, micro Kubernetes, a lot of cool automations. I'm excited about this one. Stay tuned, let's do this. Hi everyone, Lior is here with another Jumpstart Lightning episode. I have Raki here with me. How's it going, Raki?
Hey Lior, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I was excited to talk to you. You and I have been having a lot of conversation. We have cool stuff to share with the Jumpstart audience. So the first thing, what is it that you do? Who you are?
So I'm a cloud solution architect based out of Toronto, Canada at this moment. And essentially what I do is I'm part of the customer success team here at Microsoft for data and AI. And I help my customers succeed on Azure.
So, you know, Raki, the reason that you're here on the show is because the main reason that you're here on the show is because you contribute a lot of cool stuff to the Jumpstart project. And obviously we're evolving with your contributions. We were going to share that with the audience. But really today I wanted to talk to you about your approach when it comes to the automation that you developed, but also before that, talk to you about why. What was the motivation around the scenarios that you created? If you can share that with the audience, and we're just going to take it from there. Let's go.
Absolutely, let's do it. So I've got a little bit of a deck here that we can kind of walk through. So essentially, I'll start by saying I'm fairly new to Kubernetes, so it's only been about 5 or 6 months that I've been learning this technology. So one of the things that I kind of started out with was micro-K8. So for those of us that are not kind of aware, Kubernetes obviously has all sorts of different distributions, and you can install it on Docker and whatnot. Micro-K8 is basically, it's a single package, fully conformant, lightweight Kubernetes. And what I mean by that is you can essentially download micro-K8 on pretty much any device. So it could be on a Raspberry Pi, it could be inside an IoT device, it could be on a cloud VM. And in my case, I started with installing micro-K8 on my Surface Laptop 3. And that's essentially how I went ahead and kind of started with Kubernetes.
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest takeaways that I took from that minute that you presented or introduced why we're even talking about this and how you got things going is the fact that, and keep me honest, you're focused on data stuff. Like, you're a data architect, you're a hardcore data person, and you started working with Kubernetes 5 or 6 months ago, while this technology has been going like a wildfire for I don't know how many years now. So I really wanted to ask you about that experience from a data person coming into this world of Kubernetes. Talk to me about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically, you need a motivation to start learning a new technology. And for me, in that case, the motivation was Azure Arc, specifically SQL managed instance, as well as Postgres. So, essentially, we at Microsoft, we're always helping our customers succeed with new products. And so me in particular, I'm helping with a customer that we're looking to basically onboard SQL managed instance and Postgres. And so, the first place I started was, okay, how do I learn this thing? How do I learn Kubernetes, right? So first thing I did was I went out and got my CCAD exam. So the exam where you write the hands-on for CNCF. And, that's kind of where I went and learned Kubernetes. But on the data side, what I found was Azure Arc, and specifically Jumpstart, the work that you've done with the team so far on the repository. That was kind of my place to start. And so essentially, that was the motivation for me to kind of go ahead and develop the scenario. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that, just kind of to share with the audience, one of the things that we are focusing a lot on when it comes to our own field, and specifically with the data folks, right? The people like Raki that are focusing on data related stuff, is how do we bring Kubernetes to them? Because Azure Arc-enabled data services required some Kubernetes skills, right? And Raki, what I want to show is really, if you can talk about the why, the scenario, how you went by and created, how did you translate this learning experience that you wanted to get, all the way to the point that you contributed to the project, and really show the audience what is it that you actually contributed and how it looks like.
Absolutely. So kind of let me take you through my journey on knowing nothing on Arc to kind of going ahead and reusing some of the work that you and the team have done to the Jumpstart. So essentially, I've got a picture of my desktop here. So I've obviously we can go ahead and spin up a Kubernetes cluster in Azure, but I wanted to take the challenge a little bit further. I've got a lot of hardware that I paid a decent bit of money for lying around just in the side.
Pretty beefy machine, Raki. That's a pretty beefy machine.
Yeah, especially the CPU there and the RAM. I was kind of went a little bit overboard. But essentially what I did, Lior, was I first installed microK8s on this desktop, just because of all the benefits that we talked about, and the fact that microK8s has kind of these single line commands that you can use to install Helm, have GPU support, and so on and so forth. So when I did that, installing microK8s was a piece of cake. And then essentially what I did was I took some of the scenarios that you had, specifically the AKS scenario, and I went through the code. I looked at all of the scripting and automation that you and the team have done. I basically developed my own script to go ahead and get microK8s installed on any machine from the Snap Store. And then I realized, hey, you know what? I think this is in a good enough shape to go ahead and contribute to the Jumpstart. And so that's what I did.
And I remember we had a conversation that you had the first idea that you had, maybe to share the history there. The first idea that you had is that, hey, let's try to do that and using WSL and Docker on your machine. And then you and I started a conversation, and we thought, all right, let's see if you can put that on steroids and put something that is a bit more, I want to say, repeatable, usable, and not something that is very much constrained to the machine that you are on, right? So talk to me about that, like the development process and all of that.
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, what you said, right? So, in my case, obviously, I've got room here in my particular machine to host a few different VMs. So I could have, 2 or 3 VMs that are running Kubernetes. But that process of hosting a Kubernetes cluster on your laptop or your desktop, it's not scalable, right? And so basically what I did from this point is I went ahead and kind of extended that architecture you're looking at, and I'll get to this GIF here and what it is really. But essentially, I wanted to extend it to be hosted on Azure, and so spun up a ARM template that basically has the Ubuntu image that we're looking at. I took my script, retrofitted it so it runs on the on that VM. We spun up a Windows VM, so rather than my Windows desktop, which things are always changing and things are getting installed and uninstalled. So we have this. We're using Chocolatey to basically go ahead and spin up the client VM. And from there, essentially, what I did was I extended the ARM templates. So you can see this is the kind of deployment that goes ahead and takes place. And the one place I want to talk about the automation that I think is going to be useful for the audience that tries this scenario out is one of the things that you can actually do in Azure. So we're using the custom extension that Azure makes available. And so what you can do is, if you try this scenario, if you go into the VM using something like PuTTY, and then you do a tail-f install microK8s log, so that's the log that I'm kind of printing out, you can actually see all the steps of automation that's taking place, as you can see on the screen, on getting Kubernetes installed end-to-end on our Ubuntu cluster. So that was basically this piece of the script here in the GitHub repo.
So obviously, I'm familiar with what you created, and it's super cool. And I think that, again, to share with the audience, Raki brought up a lot of optimization, like small gestures to the automation that really, I want to say, improved, optimized this type of stuff. And so, Raki, maybe as the last piece for the technical side of this conversation, and you have it on the slide here, like the challenge. Talk to me about that. I want to understand, or maybe share with the audience, what were the challenges from not just from the technical angle, but also coming into this new project that you probably don't know a lot about, and you're starting to tear it apart. How does that look like?
So let me start with the specific technical problem for this scenario, and then I'll talk about it from a broader perspective. So, man, microK8s is really interesting. So what I found was, like I was showing you my desktop, and I got microK8s installed on here. Worked like a piece of cake, had no issues. But in Azure, and so this is what I have in my screen, is I found that when you spin up the Arc cluster, like the Cluster Connect, one of my pods was going into error state. And it didn't make any sense to me because, it's the same exact code. And then what I noticed when I did a kubectl logs is that it was actually unable to reach out to one of the endpoints, so guest notification service that Azure uses. And honestly, I spent like 2 days just banging my head against the wall trying to figure it out, and then I couldn't realize it. Finally, what I found out was that the MicroK8's installer, the native installer, it actually hard codes the Google's DNS resolver like right into the installation, and so that's why it wasn't working on Azure, because there was a conflict.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah, it was a lot of googling and a lot of looking through MicroK8's source code. So obviously I opened this issue that you can see in their repo. So and what I did was basically the solution was this line of code. So I basically said, hey, don't use Google's DNS, but rather use Azure's one. So this is the persistent public IP we have. And this piece of code is basically inside the code that I've committed to our Azure Arc-enabled. So that was the specific.
This is all automated. I mean, this is all fully automated. It's not like you need to go and try something weird. This is all fully automated.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is taking this is in the repo. So basically, when our VM gets spun up, all of this for our customer will get taken care of. That's trying to jumpstart. Absolutely.
So the second challenge here is not technical. The second challenge is really coming into a project that you don't know. What was the approach? How did you? Yeah.
So basically, Lior, like, I think the way you and the team have laid out the Jumpstart, it's the same way that I myself as a person like to learn. So if there's a new technology or a new problem I'm trying to solve, what I'll usually do is watch a YouTube video. I will, just take some quick demo and try to implement it myself. And then when I can see it working, I will deep dive into the code because I know it already works, right? There's no blocker for me, so I can go in and learn. And so what I really love, the challenge, obviously when you're learning a new technology, you go up on documentation, you try to figure things out, you don't know how it works, you see a diagram. But that was a challenge for me when I was learning Arc and Kubernetes. But the solution I found was actually just going through one of the scenarios end to end, seeing the pods get spun up, look at the logs, and then when you know it works, you can basically deep dive in and figure things out.
Yeah, get a feel.
Exactly.
Understand that you can actually do this.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Raki, as you know, this is Jumpstart Lightning, short and sweet. So before we are sharing with the audience how to get in touch with you, there is something pretty cool that we want to share with the audience. So following Raki's work on everything that he did with micro Kubernetes and the data services and the fact that he's coming from that background, we decided to bring Raki on board. And at this point, Raki is going to join the Jumpstart team as a core maintainer to the project to basically take all the data services scenario, take the machine learning scenarios that we're coming up with, and bring you those scenarios so you can actually get going and learn like he did and like many others did with the Jumpstart project. So Raki, welcome to the team. I'm super excited to have you. We've been having conversations about this for a while, so this is cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Lior. And I know that Arc is going to be a big part of my life, professional life, just, in the next few years going forward. And I look forward to kind of the innovations that we as a team bring forward and kind of helping our customers, especially here in Canada, go ahead and succeed with Arc.
So the last piece is really, Raki, how do people get in touch with you? And obviously, we're going to share the scenario or the few scenarios that you created for the Jumpstart in the description below. But Raki, how do people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I like to blog in my free time. I'll be doing with the Jumpstart soon. But you can go to my blog and you can see all my contact information there. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, so if you wanted to go ahead and throw me a request, that would be the best place to get in touch. And I've started using Twitter as well, so if you wanted to go ahead and give me a follow, I'll follow you back as well.
That's cool. So, hey, Raki, thank you so much for coming to Jumpstart Lightning. Obviously, you're going to be more and more involved when it comes to the Jumpstart stuff. So I'm looking forward to see what you will bring to the table. I know that you will bring a lot of value to the project. I'm super excited about that. And for the Jumpstart Lightning audience, please make sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel to know when we are releasing a new demo or a new Jumpstart Lightning episode. Hit the bell button and give us a big like. So again, you will enjoy everything that we're coming up with. Raki, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much. And looking forward to working with you. And to the audience, thank you so much for staying tuned. And bye, everyone.